Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Tailgaters. I'm your host and moderator, Montia McCray. To my left, I have Mr. Jarrell Sullins. He is the safety for the Northeast Ohio Predator semi-pro football team. And to my right, I have Christian Patterson. He is a reporter, and he is the host of the Inside Sports Report on TV 20, where it's all about Cleveland all the time. We're going to talk about a couple of things today, and first off, the Ohio State Buckeyes football team is known for winning year after year. But could it be due to that easy schedule? Secondly, the Cavs had a dismal season, to say the least. Was it because of Mike Brown's return? And finally, what does the Buckeyes basketball team have to do in order to advance in the tournament next season? Jarrell, I'll start with you. Do you think strengthening the schedule for the football team will bring them some credibility and maybe change the minds of naysayers and doubters out there? What's your take on that?
I seriously doubt it. Ohio State football team, the only way to strengthen their schedule is to give them all top opponents. They have, 4 nationally ranked opponents that they faced last year. Granted, they didn't take all of those games. However, the ones that they lost were, by a touchdown or less. I think 10 points was one of them. Besides that, Ohio State went undefeated for the year. So I seriously doubt that strengthening their schedule would bring any more hope, to the naysayers or the doubters of Ohio State's schedule.
Okay, you know what, Christian, I'm going to turn to you now. Okay. And before I let you give your view, I see Buffalo, I see San Diego State, California, Florida A&M, and let's face it, y'all, this schedule is sweeter than 2 dozen cupcakes with extra frosting and sprinkles on top. Okay. So, do you think strengthening the schedule will add credibility? What do you have to say about Jarrell's comments as well?
I would say it might a little bit, just on the strength that that's the reason we don't get the higher seed, or not seed, but we don't get, if we have the same record as like Alabama, we're not considered as good as them because of who we played that whole season. So, I mean, it can help a little bit, but people like Alabama, LSU, they're going to play the top, talent just because of the conference.
Exactly, the SEC, so that's the toughest college
you
conference.
play more games in your conference because of that. So the Big Ten is not a weak conference, but it's not as good as the SEC. So it could help a little bit, but looking on to their schedule for next year, I would say it's fair, average, words like that, mildly competitive. Because you look at their competitive games, Virginia Tech, they have the number 25 recruiting class. Cincinnati is always going to be competitive with Ohio State. They might not beat us, but it's going to be a competitive game. Penn State is going to be very competitive. They had the number 23 recruiting class coming into this season, and they've been good since they got their new coach. MSU is always competitive. They got a great defense.
Yes,
and then Michigan, we always have a dogfight with Michigan. They had the number 17 recruiting class. So all these guys, those are going to be the competitive games. The games that should be easy wins is Navy, Kent State, Maryland, Rutgers, Illinois, Minnesota, Indiana. So I think we have a fair, average type schedule going into next year. But like you said, we're probably going to have a great wins and loss percentage for next year. So hopefully we can get back into having those top BCS bowl games.
Okay, and Jarrell, but don't you guys think, I'll ask both of you, Urban Meyer came from the SEC.
Yes.
Doesn't he have a say-so in the schedule? Can't he possibly create a tougher schedule for the team and maybe possibly bring some of that strong, fast, steadfast defense that he had in the SEC? Do you think he can bring that to Ohio State as well? Because man, Braxton Miller got folded by Michigan State like a laundry, y'all. Folded. So don't you think Urban Meyer can bring some of those same elements to this Ohio State football team?
I believe Urban Meyer can bring some of his expertise, his knowledge, his background. As far as strengthening the schedule, I don't know if Urban Meyer has a lot to do with that. He's new. His credibility within the organization might not be as strong. Although he does come in with a strong background, I don't know if he's built the trust within the organization. I believe the schedule goes a lot deeper than what he has to say about it as of now. Speaking back on his previous year, a lot of the teams that that weren't ranked, that was teams that we kind of blew past. We blew some of the teams out 70+0 or 56-0. So although the teams weren't ranked, we clearly showed that if this team had a higher quality of weapons, or they were a better matchup, they still would not have. They still would not have defeated us.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree with what you said as far as him not having that credibility to make the schedule tougher in himself. But he's actually bringing the type of talent that he had in the SEC. He's attracting that talent to O State. So that'll help us compete with the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Oklahomas, you know, places like that. We had the number 3 top recruiting class coming into this year. So we actually lacked on defense that last year. And that's why we got beat up in the bowl game versus Clemson. So we actually signed the number 1 inside linebackers going to O State. We got 2 of the top defensive back recruits coming out of Glenville and Cleveland, in Eric Smith and Marshawn Lattimore. We got the National Defensive Player of the Year in the U.S. All-American game, Dante Booker from St. Vincent St. Mary. And then we have the number 5 cornerback recruit, Damon Webb from Detroit. So they boosted that defense up. Ohio State was always known for having a high-power offense. And we got a great quarterback, dual-threat quarterback, sometimes great receivers, and a great running back all the time. So we really just needed to boost our defense, and having this type of speed on defense, bringing in, that shows Urban Meyer has that impact to bring those players and attract them to Ohio State.
Now, do you guys think because of the lack of defense, is that why they're like, what, maybe 1-37 against the SEC? They have,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because speed is everything in college football. And you see the SEC teams, most of those guys are recruited and they had speed. I mean, that's what it is. A lot of those Florida guys, you know, people from the South, that's where that speed is. You know, I know Ohio, Texas, and Florida are like the bigger football states, but that speed is from the South. And that's where, you know, all those players from the South were attracted to those SEC schools.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame found that out the hard way, didn't they?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. What's your
agree.
take on Christian's comments, Jarrell?
I agree. All the speed is produced out of the South. The years that we, won the bowl or had our better years, our defense was fast. You know, we had the top corners, top safeties, top linebackers. Our defensive ends could come off the ball a lot better than they did this year. The last 2 games that we lost, Ohio State went undefeated throughout most of the season until they came to the very end. Our offense put up 34 and 35 points, but our defense couldn't stop their offense, and that's exactly why they didn't go to the next level.
Oh yeah, Tim Tebow's Florida Gators. Ooh, I remember that.
And that's the whole thing with Urban Meyer. He wants to eliminate it from being a shootout of just offense versus offense.
Right.
If we have a stellar offense. If we can boost that defense up to be on a high level, then that's a crazy team right there.
What about that secondary?
I think the secondary is great now.
Like Christian mentioned earlier, we have two of the top corners coming out. We have the returning safety. I'm drawing a blank right now, but we have a pretty solid defense, and we added to it. So I believe that O State will do even better this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
So
we got what I forgot to mention this also. We got 23 total recruits. 15 of those are 4-star athletes, and 1 is a 5-star athlete. So we got some great talent. Overall, I think we can have a season similar to what we had last year. We had 1 loss and then 1 loss with the bowl game. So I think we can have another season where we might only get 1 or 2 losses.
Let's talk about Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
Now, we all know he is the most electrifying, exciting college football player to date, maybe college athlete overall.
Yeah.
With that being said, Christian, I'll turn to you.
Okay.
How do you think he'll fare as a quarterback in the NFL? I personally think he'll get folded like a lawn chair, but I could be wrong because he has mobility, he's quick, he's very accurate, he knows when to get rid of that ball.
Yeah.
So maybe, he'll get rid of the ball before he gets folded. But, how do you think he'll fare overall as a quarterback in the NFL?
Well, real quick, I wanted Sammy Watkins, but I wasn't mad with the picks that we got after I did my research. So I just wanted to get that out there. But I like Johnny Manziel. His mechanics are great. Everybody says he's a small guy, but you got to look at the Drew Breeses, the Russell Wilsons, those guys. Johnny Manziel actually had the biggest hands as a quarterback coming out in this draft. So you got to look at that, look at his mechanics, and he's one of the most elusive quarterbacks I've ever seen personally.
I agree.
So, and you look at his speed, he ran the fastest 40 as a quarterback too.
Yes,
So
yes.
You look at all that, and you got to think that he has a high level IQ as a quarterback. So I think he's going to be pretty good. You know, we got a Pro Bowl offensive tackle in Joe Thomas. We added to our offensive line. So with that, the running game that we implemented with Ben Tate and the receipt, well, hopefully if Josh Gordon doesn't get the full, season from his suspension, we added a few more receivers in Miles Austin, Burleson, Bennett. So I think that will help and take the load off the quarterback. The Browns have been lacking because we've always had a quarterback that we didn't know what he could do, but we never had a running game. We never had a good line, and we didn't have a lot of receivers to throw to. So when the pressure's all on the quarterback, he can never be, hit to his top potential. So I think that we have weapons now. Should be good.
And to add to your points, the defense is lethal, but it gets tired. And
'Cause they're on
at
the
some
field
point in
sometimes.
time, that offense is going to have to execute some points, and the defense is like, look, y'all, please. You know what I mean? So, okay, Jarrell, with that being said, I'll turn to you.
I think Johnny Manziel would do a lot for the offense, especially with keeping him on the field. He's very elusive. He's very intelligent, and knowing when to get the ball out of his hands, extending plays. We did add a lot of offenses, a lot of weapons on offense to help him out this year. One thing I think Johnny Manziel, a lot of his big plays last year and in previous years have been lucky plays. Getting the ball off, getting it downfield, and receivers making plays for him. I don't think a lot of those plays will fly in NFL with the defenses that we're going to face, especially the defenses that we're going to face in our division alone. Our division is known for a great defense, or great secondaries. So if he tries to, just throw the ball up there in hopes that Gordon and Austin and whoever's going for the ball grabs it, then he might not fare as well as he did in college. But as long as he, calm his nerves, settle down, and look for an open receiver or a smart play, then I believe that he would do a phenomenal job for the organization in helping the defense out, because the offense will stay on the field a lot longer.
Moving on to the next topic. We all know Mike Brown got fired twice. Oh,
I think probably the first coach to do that.
Right. Why do you guys think that is? Do you think the team lacked chemistry with him? Did they not listen to him? Was it immaturity? Jarrell, you know what? I'll go ahead and start with you this time. Why do you think he was fired a second time around?
I don't know why he was hired a second time around. He didn't have a great track record the first time he was here. He was going through a lot of the scrutiny, for LeBron leaving, that whole issue that happened there. So there was a heavy weight on his shoulder, as well as the Cleveland Cavaliers. They did not, they didn't come through like we hoped they would have. So him coming back, I never really understood why that decision was made. I looked into it to try to see, maybe I'm missing something. He left, had a better season away than he did here, but it really didn't speak much. So, I'm not upset with him letting him go.
I'm not either. And it's weird because he's a defensive-minded guy, and I remember, oh my God, I was so happy because the Phoenix Suns have one of the best three-point shooting teams I've ever seen. Oh my God, aside from the Memphis Grizzlies, when Mark Price was their shooting coach, they was throwing them, lighting them up. And they were able to stop that. I said, okay, I'm all excited, I'm happy. They beating Phoenix double-digit points, and then the second half came, and I went, defense just totally gone. So Christian, I'll ask you, why do you think they hired him again?
Well, starting off, I root for the Cavs because I grew up a Cavs fan, and even we've never been that good until we got in that LeBron era. So it's like I'm always going to root for him. But when they brought back Mike Brown, I really almost wanted to tie a rope to my fan and hang myself.
Ooh, wrong for that. That's a challenge flag.
I mean, because you look at it. Okay, this guy, when they first brought him here, he was praised because he learned under Popovich. He was the defensive coach for the Spurs. So everybody's like, okay, he's coming here. He's going to preach defense. He's going to get the Cavs where they need to be. But when he got here, we had LeBron James, right? So it was all defense, and that's all he preached. And soon as the offense came down, it was just get a ball to your best player, dump it in LeBron's hands, and just try to let him work.
Try to
So
make
he
him
was
like a
never
one-man
really
team.
a coach,
Right.
or a well-rounded coach, I would say, in my opinion. So what the reason I look at that is like when he came back that second time, he tried to do the same thing with Kyrie Irving. Just Kyrie, we just seen him dribble the ball. You take off 10 to 14 seconds off the shot clock, just dribbling around, trying to. He never implements an offense. So that's one reason why I don't know why they brought him back. To answer your question, I don't know why they brought him back.
Well, let me
I don't know why.
chime in here. Maybe it was desperation.
Yeah, but I mean, there's plenty other coaches out there.
I know, but you know what's really messed up, you guys? I don't think people want to come here.
That's
You
one
know
thing.
what I mean?
That's
like
one thing.
people, they don't want to. The well-renowned coaches don't want to come here, which means the well-renowned talent doesn't want to come here.
But
and it's
one
you know
thing
what
I
I
can
mean?
say about that, money talks.
Yes.
If these coaches that don't have jobs, if you give them a nice enough contract, they will come here just because of they have the money and they have players that they can an all-star in Kyrie Irving. You got a Deion Waiters who's an electrifying scorer who's going to be great in this league. You got pieces that you can work with. So,
and add to.
Yes, and add to. And we've got the luck of the draw. We keep getting these number one picks. I mean, it's making it more attractive to come here. You know, so, I mean, and like you said, his track record wasn't good. The only reason he won Coach of the Year was because he had LeBron James. I mean, that was the only reason we got to the finals when he was here, you know, because of LeBron James. So, I don't know why we brought him back. Obviously, the players didn't respect him. That's why he was fired in less than a year. You know, so I don't know.
Unfortunately, we have to stop right there, but coming up after the break, we'll talk about the needs for the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team. I personally think they need better shooters to advance, but maybe someone at the desk might disagree. We'll talk about that after this. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Before the break, I stated that the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team needs shooters in order to advance in the tournament next year. But I'm going to turn to you, Christian. Do you think it's shooters that they need, or do they just need better offense generally?
Both. I mean, we didn't have great outside shooters this year. You know, our main scorers that we turned to were LaQuinton Ross and Linzel Smith Jr. And just to be quite frank with it, Linzel Smith is not the best offensive person to be turning to. I mean, he's pretty good, but he's not the best. And LaQuinton Ross, he definitely needs some work on his outside shot. And that was one reason why I don't know why he left this year. But we're getting some good guys. Offense is definitely one thing that we need to build upon because we had a good defensive team, even though we're losing our main defensive players. So that hopefully can be added on. We need outside shooters, like you said. And we're actually gaining those with a few players. We had a great recruiting class at O State this year. We had the number 18th player, the 18th overall player, D'Angelo Russell, who's a shooting guard, and he's a great scorer, a shooter from the outside, handles the ball great, and passes. He's a 6'5" shooting guard. So that's size for us, too, on the outside. We got another outside player at small forward, 6'6", as a 4-star athlete. D'Angelo's a 5-star, and he's another scorer from the outside. So we got 3 scorers coming in because Jayshawn Tate is another guy who plays a small forward is an electric 3-point shooter. And one other player on the defensive side, Dave Bell from Garfield Heights, 6'9". He's going to be playing power forward and center for O State. So that'll help us on the defensive end where we need a presence because we're losing Aaron Craft, one of the best on-ball defenders. So, yeah, offense. Offense is what we need. And I think that we're going to be a much better offensive team going in this year. We might take a small step back on the defensive end, but we should be pretty good.
Okay. Jarrell, I'll turn to you. What do you think about what Christian just stated just now?
I agree. Our offense is going to be a lot better this year than in previous years. Aaron Craft is going to make a tremendous impact on the defense. I think that our defense is going to take a lot more than just one step back. I think we have a lot to do to fill those shoes on defense. Ohio State started out undefeated. They started out the first 10, 15 games without losing. And then down the stretch, they were barely 500.
Right.
So I don't know if it comes down to You know,
Maybe lackadaisical defense.
maybe defense. You know, maybe the coach not making the right. You know, the coaching staff not making the right adjustments to, or you know, not switching it up enough, and people kind of picked on to what we were doing.
Right.
I don't know if it comes back to training. You know, fatigue really sets in, especially in college basketball, playing so many games in such a
Right.
condensed amount of time. So I believe that we will pick it up offensively, but you know I'm a defensive-minded kind of guy. So unless we strengthen our defense back up to where it was, or even get it better, then I don't think O State would have as good a season as we did this past year.
Okay, well, let me ask you guys this. Do you think they'll be able to go back to the Mike Conley Jr., Greg Oden years?
With this team, no, they won't be that good.
No.
No. We had a dominant point guard and a dominant center. If you, I mean, that's a combination for success, you know, in college basketball. And I mean, as well as these guys are that we're bringing in, they're going to be freshmen. So you can't. Just coming from high school basketball to college basketball is total difference, you know. So I mean, even though they're good and all these guys are ranked in the top 100, you know, in high school recruiting, that still doesn't mean that they're going to have a great season their freshman year, you know. So
Understood.
and with the guys that we already had on the team, we didn't have any scores. I mean, the people who stayed, you know, who coming back this season. So. Like we probably not gonna have the greatest of year, but we still gonna be okay in the Big Ten because the only teams I feel that are gonna be much better than us probably are Michigan State, maybe Michigan, depending on who didn't declare.
Right.
And so I mean we should probably fall within maybe the top 3 to 4 teams in the Big Ten.
Okay.
Okay.
And let me ask you guys this real quick. Now, I've shot a basketball on a college basketball court, and then I tried on an NBA court, and ooh, okay. So if the shooting on the college level is not that good, how are they going to adjust to the NBA level?
The guys who left O State.
And let's try to make it quick, you two, so we can wrap this up.
Aaron Craft, never been a shooter.
Right.
Denzel Smith left. Like I said, he wasn't the best outside shooter, so I see him more as a slasher. And LaQuinn Ross, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we never, O State never displayed signs of, you know, the best shooters, the Reggie Millers, the Ray Allens, the Larry Birds even coming out. So I don't think that they're going to go into the league and be electrifying shooters. I feel like they'll be fair, just like they were in past years. Hopefully with, you know, some coaching and some practice, then that adjustment won't be as difficult as some may see. But I think they'll be okay.
Okay, well, before we go, ooh, I have to pick a winner, and guess what, y'all? I'm declaring this a tie. I cannot do it. So, with that being said, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for being my guests, and you have a good one. Hope to see you real soon. Thank you. So let me ask you this before we take a break. How do you guys think Mr. John Calipari would have fared for the Cavs? Because I heard about him maybe coming here, maybe interviewing for the Cavs job. Do you think he would have been a good fit?
Personally, I think he might be a good fit for the Cavs, but I don't think he's going to leave. Just like the situation with Kevin Ollie, people
Right,
been
in
trying to get him, but
Connecticut, right.
you know these coaches like the Caliparis, the Coach K's, the Roy Williams, the Izzos, they're going to stay it because first of all they're making just as much as most of these
Exactly.
these NBA coaches. They're stuck in there. So and when you're a college coach, you get to run that whole organization how you want it. It's limitations, you know, with the NBA.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tailgaters. I'm your host and moderator, Montia McCray. To my left, I have Mr. Jarrell Sullins. He is the safety for the Northeast Ohio Predators semi-pro football team. And to my right, I have Mr. Christian Patterson. He is a reporter and host of the Inside Sports Report on TV 20, where it's all Cleveland all the time. We have quite a bit to talk about today. First of all, the Ohio State football team, they're known for winning year after year. Could it be because of an easy schedule? Secondly, Mike Brown was fired twice. We'll talk about why that is, or why that was, rather. And thirdly, what does the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team need in order to advance in the tournament next season? I think they need shooters. Maybe someone at the desk thinks differently.
All right, great.